What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for Dana White's Contender Series week number 3.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another Dana White's Contender Series breakdown and prediction video. This week we are breaking down week number 3 in a card that I think is going to be very, very exciting. A lot of fun matchups on this one. Can't wait to break it all down. Before we get into it, if you guys can please do me a favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It is much, much appreciated. I'll be posting content throughout the week, Singapore content coming up, good UFC card this week. And if you guys want further content or if you do want to support me more, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. There you'll find my DWCS notes, my betting breakdown video, which should be out either late Monday, early Tuesday, and then also my betting breakdown video for Dana White's Contender Series and all that good stuff. So, yeah, looking forward to this card. Like I said, there's not a ton of fighters like I'm really high on this week in terms of maybe some upside in the UFC, but I think in terms of fun fights on a Tuesday night, this is a very, very good card. So, I say we get into it, and we're going to start in the flyweight division, and we're going to start with Luciana Pereira going against Felipe dos Santos. We will start with Felipe dos Santos, who is 22 years old, 5'7", 7-0 and 4-0 in 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Luciana Pereira, he is 22 years old, 5'3", with a 68-inch reach, 13-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds, and we see that dos Santos is minus 285. Is that right? I mean, let me double check. Dos Santos is indeed minus 285, which is kind of wild. And then Pereira is plus 225. So looks like Felipe dos Santos as of now is the biggest favorite on the card for what it's worth. So we'll start with Felipe dos Santos here. So Felipe dos Santos is a guy that I think there's probably going to be some hype on him. He's training at Shoot the Box Diego Lima, a gym that everybody knows, a gym that's just been on fire as of late, right? This is a guy that, in terms of notable wins or losses, hasn't really fought anybody notable. He has fought the better competition between these two, I'd say. But he was supposed to fight Edgar Chairez on the Contender Series, but Chairez ended up signing to the UFC to, I believe, fight Tetsuro Taira. So this is a guy that Santos has a good finish. He's a good finisher. 28% of his wins come by knockout. 43% of his wins come by submission for an overall finish rate of 72%. So some notes I have on Felipe dos Santos. This is a guy that, like I said, he trains with absolute killers at Shoot the Box Diego Lima. He has very heavy leg kicks, solid kicks to the body, and will mix in elbows on the feet as well. And he has that pressure style, very pressure forward, like a lot of these Shoot the Box guys. And he also has that blonde hair in some of his fights as well. I even saw him rocking the blue hair as well in one of his fights. So he's a very fun style on his feet. Head kicks, flying knees, elbows. He's very exciting. And like I said, he has that Shoot the Box style that a lot of these guys have. So his grappling looks very slick. Once he gets on top, he's super dangerous. Really good control as well once he does get on top. And he can wrestle a little bit. He can go for takedowns. He can get down to the mat. I don't think his wrestling's that great, but once he does get on top, he's definitely a problem. The takedown defense does not look good at all. He can't get taken down with little to no resistance. And, it's because he is comfortable on his back. He has a really good ground game. And when he is taken down, he's able to either A, threaten with submissions, or B, work his way back up. So I think his ground game overall is pretty good. And, overall, dos Santos, great volume, cardio, pressure that he uses across 15 minutes if need be. As far as Luciana Pereira, this is a guy at 22 years old. They're both so young. They both probably have some decent upside. This is a guy that's training at Combate Villamir. This is a guy that has no notable wins or losses. Actually, really sketchy competition for Pereira. 10 of his 13 wins came against somebody with no wins on their record at the time. So, that's not good. I mean, so sketchy competition for Pereira. His one loss does come by DQ though. So, technically never lost a fight, but still sketchy level of competition. This guy Pereira is a finisher, though. He's very dangerous. 62% of his wins come by knockout, and 23% of his wins come by submission. An overall finish rate of 85%, so very, very dangerous, especially for a flyweight. So some notes I have on Luciana Pereira. He's going to be very, very undersized for the division in this fight at 5'3", and he's going to be very undersized in this matchup in general at 5'3". And to be honest, I think he could be lying. I mean, I think this guy could be like 4'11". Like, he is looking a lot smaller than his opponents in there. So I'm not even sure. I'm not even convinced this guy's 5'3", to be honest. So yeah, size could play a factor in this matchup here. He doesn't seem to like pressure, which is going to be a problem here. And he will back up to the back of the cage when his opponents are pressuring. He doesn't really look like he's trying to strike in there. And I wasn't able to find a ton of footage of him. I think I was able to find 3-4 fights, but in all the fights I did watch, he really didn't have any interest in striking whatsoever. But he will come forward. He will throw heavy. He will throw very heavy, but he's ultimately looking to get the fight down to the mat there, which he's really good at. He has really good wrestling, and he's very, very physically strong. Although he's only 4'11" or 5'3", this guy has a great ability of getting the fight down to the mat. So once on top, he can be over-aggressive, and that could lead to him losing position and ending up on bottom. And I have serious concerns when he's on his back. He looks kind of lost in there when he's on his back. And he doesn't really, seem to be able to get up, or he's getting put into really bad spots. I've seen him put into a lot of bad spots on the mat. I've seen him get mounted. I've seen him get his back taken. But when he's on top, he's very good, really good ground and pound, and he's able to get into dominant positions himself. He's able to get it in mount and then finish the fight shortly after. I mean, so I think Pereira's a very good fighter, undersized, but very good fighter nonetheless. I think both these guys are pretty good. So I'm kind of surprised to see the lines where it's at. I think it has a lot to do with the shoot the box. Felipe dos Santos, like I said, there's going to be some hype on him. And for what it's worth, in week 1 and week 2 of the Contender Series, the biggest favorite has lost. So maybe the trend continues, but I think I got to go with Dos Santos here. I think there's a lot of reasons to like Dos Santos. He's training at a great gym that has been on fire lately. He's going to bring the pressure, the volume, the pace on the feet. He's very dangerous on the mat as well, on top, on his back. But this is the one thing, the takedown defense is a concern. I mean, in this matchup, it absolutely is. His takedown defense is not great, and that's going to allow Pereira to absolutely be able to get this fight down to the mat. But when he is on his back, he can threaten with submissions. He can sweep reverse, end up on top. And if this guy ends up on top, if Dos Santos ends up on top, I think he might be able to finish the fight even, or just at the very least win a lot of minutes. So I'm going to say Felipe Dos Santos gets it done by, I'll say, decision, doing the much better work on the feet, pressuring, landing the bigger shots, landing more volume, and then hopefully getting on top at some point. Because I think if Dos Santos can get on top, he can do some serious work. So he's Felipe Dos Santos. Hate the line. I really do, but I'll take him to win. Moving on, we have Luis Pajelo going against Robbie Ring. And we will start with Pajelo here. So Pajelo is 28 years old, 5'11", 7-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Robbie Ring, 23 years old, is 6 foot and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So we have Pajelo. He's training at Contacto Lever. And by the way, Pajelo is a plus 140 dog, and Robbie Ring is a minus 170 favorite. And it looks like Robbie Ring opened up as a straight pick. My money has came in on Robbie Ring here. So back to Pajelo. In terms of notable wins or losses, no notable wins or losses. He hasn't fought like complete bums like the last guy we talked about, but no notable wins or losses nonetheless. This guy's a finisher. 86% finish rate, all those coming by knockout. This guy has power. So Pajelo, he likes to get into absolute wars. He can be hit clean, but he has a really good chin, and he relies on that chin. He will eat multiple shots to give one. His nickname is heart of a lion, and I think that fits him very, very well. So he can be hurt, but it is very hard to get him out of there, and he's most dangerous when he's coming forward. He does not look great when he's backing up. He looks uncomfortable when he's backing up, but when he's coming forward, he's dangerous, and he's exciting. He really is. So he marches forward and lands hard shots. He's looking to finish, and he absolutely has power. I think in terms of excitement, Pajelo brings the excitement 100%. I mean, this guy's fun to watch. So he has no regards to any striking defense whatsoever, and he is so wild all the time. He reminds me a lot of Manuel Torres, who's now in the UFC, just extremely wild style. I mean, it's fun to watch, but I mean, he can get hit clean, and that could be a concern going forward. Maybe not in this fight though. But he's gritty, he hits hard, and he wants to brawl. I could see him getting knocked out in the near future potentially. I mean, blocking punches with your face at the UFC level might not work out for him. He can be hurt, but like I said, his durability overall, I think, is pretty good. And his only loss does come by decision for what it's worth. So the guy's never been knocked out yet. In his lone loss, though, he was very tired late in the fight, and he was put in some very bad spots on the mat. So it looked like he did slow down as the fight went on. And then I think it was the third round, he got mounted. He got his back taken. Looked close to getting finished in that fight even. So the ground game, especially as the fight goes on, could very well be a problem for this guy, Pohelo. Moving on to Robbie Ring. He's training out of Infinity Fight Team, whatever that is. He's 23 years old, very, very young. Notable wins or losses. So he beat Jacob Kilburn, who is somehow in the UFC. I don't rate Kilburn high at all, and Kilburn currently is an 8-7 fighter for what it's worth. But other than that, it's pretty laughable level of competition. And I think his last win, if not mistaken, comes against like an 0-0 guy. I mean, it's so very, very questionable competition for Robbie Ring. But he did beat a UFC caliber kind of. He beat a guy that was in the UFC in Jacob Kilburn. So some notes I have on Robbie Ring. He's an equal opportunity finisher. Half his wins coming by knockout, half his wins coming by submission. A 100% finish rate overall for this guy. He does a very good job getting the fight down to the mat. Pretty good wrestling and physicality. His ground game looks really good. Very, very dangerous on the ground. He will get wild on the feet, just like Pohelo, but he's ultimately trying to get the fight down to the mat. Once the fight is on the ground, it's his world. Although he's not fought the best competition, I was very impressed with his ground game overall, and I was impressed in that Kilburn fight. We went out there, took down Kilburn, put him in some bad spots in the first round, and eventually submitted him in the second round. I feel like we're missing a lot of information about Robbie Ring. I feel like this guy's super young. He's going to be making improvements more than likely, but I still feel like I want to know a little bit more about him. But in terms of the ground game, I was very impressed. So final thoughts on this matchup, and another line that I'm not crazy about -170 on Robbie Ring. I like both guys here a lot, and I think whoever gets signed is going to be in some very exciting fights in the UFC. Quite frankly, I would actually like to see both of these fighters in the UFC because they're so fun, these styles of these guys. I think this fight's going to be the best fight on the entire card. I think I'm going to take a leap of faith, which is crazy to say because he's a favorite, which, I think it probably should be closer to a pick'em, but I'm going to take a leap of faith in this Ring guy. I love the wrestling and the grappling especially, and I don't like how defensively irresponsible and over-aggressive Pohelo is. I think Ring is going to take this guy down, and I think he's going to style on him, but Pohelo's a very dangerous guy. He's an exciting guy, and I think he's probably getting counted out a little bit. I mean, I would not lay -170 on Robbie Ring. The line makes no sense, but in terms of a pure pick, this is a prediction show. I'm going to pick Robbie Ring in this one to win by second round submission. All right, moving on, we got Josephine Nutson going against Isis Verbeek. We will start with Josephine Nutson, who is 27 years old, 5'3", with a 61-inch reach, 5-0. Obviously 5-0 in only 5 fights. Isis Verbeek, she is 28 years old, 5'4", with a 65-inch reach, 4-1. 4-1 in only 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Massive favorite here in Nutson. She's currently sitting at -275. She actually opened at -500. And Verbeek is currently sitting at +215. So we'll start on the Nutson side. So she's training at All Stars Training Center, which is the same gym as Khamzat Chimaev. I was checking her Instagram. It looks like she was, taking pictures with Khamzat. So that's pretty cool. She's training at a good gym there. She is a decent fighter overall, but it's her striking that is her best attribute. We'll talk more about that. No notable wins or losses, but she did fight on road to UFC, I think, last year. Not really a finisher. Neither of these fighters are really finishers. Only a 20% finish rate for Nutson, and that did come by knockout. So some notes on Nutson I have. She has a kickboxing background, very good feints and fakes on the feet, very good and hard leg kicks that she uses. She kicks very, very hard. A very composed striker, finishes combinations with leg kicks or even head kicks and body kicks, which is very nice. So she'll let off on a combo and then finish with a leg kick, and I love that. She's mean, and she hits hard for the division. In the clinch, she lands hard elbows, and she busts her opponents up. And the combinations and volume, I think, is on point. And she's a very, very high-level striker with a striking background. So she's very physically strong in the clinch. very physical in the clinch overall. Her takedown defense looks to be okay. She can be taken down, but she likes to make fights ugly, bully her opponents against the cage, make it dirty in there. I saw her get taken down and reverse position immediately, end up on top. Doesn't seem to have too much interest in the ground game. I saw her get on top, and then she ended up standing up, and which is fine. I mean, she does have a striking background, and she's very good with the striking. So I really like what I see from Nutson. Training at All-Stars, very, very mean, aggressive, and a very good striker overall. But she's taking on Isis Verbeek, who I guess is training at Team Biggie Boy, which is Jairzinho Rosenstruck's gym, I'm guessing. I clicked on the gym page, and it's just like a picture of Rosenstruck, and it says there's only one fighter there, and it's Verbeek. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I try to check her Instagram to see what's going on. I'm not sure. So it is what it is. Notable wins or losses. She hasn't really fought anybody notable, but it looks like she's been doing some kickboxing, MMA, boxing, bare knuckle boxing. I mean, she's just really doing it all, which is nice to see. In terms of the finish rate, she is also not a finisher, only a 25% finish rate, finishing only one win, and that one finish did come by submission, so this fight probably does go the distance. Some notes I have on Verbeek: solid leg kicks, has a little bit of pop in her hands. I think the power advantage is most definitely going to be on the Nutson side, though. She likes to close distance, to stand and trade in close. Likes to get in a phone booth in there. Very good striker. I think she can definitely hold her own in the striking, I'd say. But to be honest, I was more impressed with the striking of Nutson overall, in the volume and the power. So Isis Verbeek, she can be held against the cage and taken down, and her ground game may be an issue. Maybe not in this fight. Maybe. I mean, it might be. We'll see. But her ground game kind of scares me a little bit. I'm not sure she's going to be making much improvements on the ground at Team Biggie Boy with Rosenstruck, but in all seriousness, she actually has improved her I don't want to say takedown defense, but her ground game overall. She is actually pretty dangerous on the mat. Like, she'll throw up submissions. She seems to threaten with the guillotine when opponents shoot in. So it does look like she's making some improvements in the grappling. In all seriousness, if she gets taken down, though, there's a good chance she doesn't get back up. But again, I'm not sure Nutson takes that path. I think she could. I think she does have some sneaky upside there. But like I said, she'll threaten with submissions off her back and standing with the standing guillotine there. So final thoughts on this matchup. I think Verbeek is actually solid, but I like Nutson here, as many people do. Obviously, you see the line; it's very wide. I think Nutson will be landing the harder strikes here, more volume. I also think Nutson has some sneaky grappling upside. Maybe Chimaev, is teaching her a thing or two. I could see Nutson winning minutes against the cage. Like I said, she likes to bully her opponents against the cage. I could see her holding Verbeek against the cage, winning minutes that way. I could see Nutson winning minutes at range, doing the better work, with the striking, the volume, the power. And then I can also see Nutson winning minutes on top. So I just think she has a lot of ways to win this fight. I think the aggressiveness is going to take her a long way, and I think her aggressiveness is going to win her this matchup. So give me Josephine Nutson to win this fight. I'll take her to win by decision. Moving on to the next fight, we have Kalik Brito going against Obon Elliott. We will start with Brito, who is 26 years old, 5'11", 16-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Obon Elliott, 25 years old, 5'11", 8-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. We see that Brito is a favorite, -160, and then Elliott is a +130 underdog. So we'll start with Brito. So he's training at Black Tie Team. This is a guy that, in terms of notable wins or losses, he's losing to pretty decent guys. And he does have a loss to Mateusz Rebecki back in 2019 by knockout. That was the only finished loss. Solid competition overall for Brito in both his wins and losses. He's fighting decent guys in there. This guy Brito has a 100% finish rate in all 16 wins. 81% by knockout, 19% by submission. This guy is very, very dangerous. So notes I have on Brito: very dangerous, like I said, finishing all 14 of his wins, and the majority of those coming by knockout. He is 0-3 in decisions, which is something to definitely note. In fights he's not able to finish, he does lose those fights every single time he has, so maybe he's not the best minute winner overall. But he has a lot of power in his hands, very heavy head kick that he throws as well. Has a really good chin, and he puts a lot of faith into that chin. And he does take some pretty hard shots, but his chin is held up. for the most part. No matter how tired he gets, his power definitely translates late, and he's very, very dangerous every second of the fight. First round, second round, third round, his power carries throughout the entire fight, which is always very nice to see. So some notes I have on his grappling there. So Brito can be taken down, and he's willing to lose minutes on his back, throwing up submission attempts. When he's on top, he does threaten with some submissions. Cardio seems to be a little bit of a concern. He does clearly slow down as the fight goes on. And his fights tend to get like really sloppy when they get extended. His hands drop low. His takedown defense doesn't look great. And his willingness to lose minutes off of his back is a concern. So, once this fight does get extended, it looks kind of ugly in there, but, he's still going to be dangerous no matter how ugly and sloppy it gets in there. So his opponent, Obon Elliott, he's training at Shore Mixed Martial Arts with Jack Shore. This is a guy that in terms of notable wins or losses, so he's fought in Cage Warriors like most of his career, I think like pretty much, but a couple of his fights have been in Cage Warriors. And then he was knocked out by Michael Figlak back in 2020. Michael Figlak currently in the UFC. I think Figlak took on like Farazayam in his debut and lost. But yeah, Figlak's a UFC fighter. In terms of the finish rate, Elliott is a decent finisher, 50% finish rate. All of those come by knockout, no submissions there. So some notes I have on Elliott, very heavy leg kicks. The chin may be a question, which, when questioning your chin against Brito is probably not the best thing here. He's been knocked out in both of his losses, which I also don't like. I think he's going to be at a significant power disadvantage. I really do. So he can and will go for takedowns, and to be honest, he better be shooting takedowns in this matchup. I've seen him put in some very bad spots on the ground, though, and he needs to be careful here on the mat with Brito. He looks awful on bottom, and he's been finished via TKO in both of his losses. Both were due to ground and pound, and the wrestling really tires him out. And this is a spot where I think I like Brito here. I don't like this fight for Elliott. Elliott has a path here potentially with the wrestling, but when he's wrestling, he's tiring out, he's gassing out, and it's looking bad. He's getting finished. He's going to be in serious danger, Elliott. Wherever this fight goes, like on the feet, he's going to be in serious danger, and then on the mat even, he's going to be in serious danger. On the feet, I have big concerns here. And like I said, even on the mat, like I could see him, getting himself into bad spots. And if Brito ends up on top, the fight's probably going to be over shortly after. I see Brito finding a finish at some point in this fight, and I think it's more than likely going to be a brutal knockout. Just don't like this fight for Obon Elliott. I was not impressed with Obon Elliott. The path is there, and maybe he's making improvements, training with guys like Jack Shore, but man, I don't see it. So give me Obon Elliott to win this fight. I'll take him to win by second round knockout. All right, next we have the main event. Very fun fight. This card is very good. I'm really looking forward to this card on Tuesday. We have Eli Aronov going against Zachary Reese. And we will start with Aronov, who is 27 years old, 5'10", 6-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Zachary Reese, 29 years old, 6'3", 5-0, and obviously 5-0 in his only 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Zachary Reese is the favorite. Zachary Reese opened up -115, opened up a pick'em. Zachary Reese is now -155. And then as far as Aronov, he is currently sitting as a +125 underdog. So we'll start with Aronov here. He's training at Spirit, which is in Israel. This is a guy that in terms of notable wins or losses, he did beat Mariusz. This last name gets me every time. Mariusz, it's like Skaskevich, who Mariusz fought on the Contender series against Mario Souza in a fight where, it really could have went either way. I think Mariusz controlled that fight for like 13 out of the 15 minutes, but, Mario Souza did more damage. I think Mariusz Skaskevich is actually a really good fighter personally, so that win aged very well for me. I like that win a lot. So this guy, Aronov, is a solid finisher, 66% finish rate overall, 33% by knockout, 33% by submission. So some notes I have on Aronov. He says he's 5'10", but I'm not so sure about that. He looks very undersized in there, so we'll see. He's very, very aggressive on the feet, runs forward, throwing punches. He throws hard leg kicks and hard kicks to the body as well, which I like. So I saw him get dropped in his fight against Mariusz Skaskevich. the guy that I'm pretty high on, but he was able to end up on top shortly after, and he was able to find the submission later in the round for the best win of his career by far, and the best win between these two by a mile, and it's not even close. So Aronov has a wrestling background, freestyle and Greco-Roman, and you can see it in there. I mean, this guy's very strong, solid cardio, very good timing on his takedowns, solid wrestling by the look of it, and he has a very grinding style that I like. He's heavy on top, good control, and if his opponents get up, they are typically going right back down. I mean, his chain wrestling is very good. He sticks to his opponents like glue. I really like Aronov, to be honest. He can get himself into bad spots, though, but he uses like power and strength to get out of them. In terms of Zachary Reese, another guy that I do like as well. He's training at War Training Center. This is a guy that, in terms of notable wins or losses, not really anything. I mean, outside, he did fight Kevin Holland. It was his amateur debut back in 2012, so over 10 years ago at this point, and he did lose that fight by decision. It was a obviously 3-minute rounds, so 9 minutes total. Other than that, just very, very little of a competition for Reese here. Reese is a finisher, though. Absolute finisher, 100% finish rate, 80% by knockout, and 20% by submission. Some notes I have on Reese. He's very dangerous. Like I said, all his wins come by finish, and not only that, all of his wins come in the very first round. 3 of his 5 wins have come under 60 seconds. So he's going out there, he's styling on these guys, he's getting them out of there early, but the cardio could definitely be a question if this fight gets extended, because I haven't seen him get extended ever. I mean, he's not been to the second round yet as a professional, and like I said, his fights are ending very, very quickly, which is good, but again, I would like to see him get extended a little bit. Maybe he does here, and maybe he doesn't, we'll see. But he's massive, 6'3". He's going to have a significant sized advantage. I mean, this guy's every bit of 6'3", whereas with Aronov, I think he's potentially lying about that height. I think Aronov could be like 5'8". So yeah, Zachary Reese is going to be towering over this guy. So he's going to be the much, much bigger fighter, and we'll see if that plays to his advantage or not, because I do think Aronov is going to be trying to take him down here. So he can submit guys, he can knock guys out. Seems fairly well-rounded from the limited footage I've seen. You know, I was able to watch a good amount of fights, but they last like 20 seconds. So, I mean, you can't take too much. But, yeah, Reese looks pretty dang good. I see why people are betting him here. He's very nasty in the clinch, knees, uppercuts, and he does threaten his opponents with a guillotine when they do shoot in for a takedown. But I'm still unsure about his takedown defense. So, for me, this is probably the toughest fight to call on the card. I think there's a couple fighters that I do like this week, but this is the fight I'm probably struggling with the most. And overall, I'm going to say Reese does look very dangerous, but I feel like I just don't know a lot about him. He's going to be massive. He's going to be the bigger guy, but I have no idea what happens if he gets taken down or if the fight goes longer than a couple minutes. I was very impressed with Aronov. And I was very impressed with that win he had against Mariusz Suskevich, and that is the best win between these two by a mile. It's not even close. That's a great win in my opinion. So in terms of a pick here, I think I'm going to go with Aronov. He could get knocked out in like 60 seconds. He really could, but I mean, I think if he gets that wrestling going, gets this fight down to the mat, he has that grinding style, get this fight extended to the second, to the third potentially. I don't know if it gets there, to be honest, but get to the second round at least. And I feel like Aronov should be able to go out there and get the second round finish. But this Reese guy is super dangerous. I think, man, both these fighters could potentially be UFC caliber. Although there are some question marks on Reese. He looks really good, but I mean, he's not fighting the best competition. But both guys exciting. But yeah, I like the skill set of Aronov. I like the wrestling. And I'll say he does take this fight to the second and finishes Reese in the second round here. Very, very good main event. This card is very good. I think this might be, like, from a fan perspective, my favorite DWCS card thus far, just because I think a lot of these fights are going to play out very fun, and I think we're going to get some finishes as well. And, yeah, good card overall. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys could please do me a favor, leave a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel as well. I'll be getting out some UFC Singapore content throughout the week. We have a good UFC card this week, so be on the lookout for some Singapore content. And yeah, in terms of extra content on the website, I'll be dropping the betting breakdown video sometime Monday night or early Tuesday morning. It looks like they've been getting out some props a lot earlier as of late, though. So hopefully we'll get some props out. Nothing yet, but yeah, there are some spots sticking out in this card for sure. So yeah, best of luck, guys, with your predictions, with your bets, and enjoy the card. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. See you later.